Hey everyone, welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast. Today we are doing the Artists Alley Aftermath for Galaxycon Raleigh 2022. And, one of the things that you look at when you do a show for years on repeat is you kind of, you know what to expect, you know what not to expect, and a lot of times you get some surprises. So I've been doing the Galaxycon shows since they were SuperCon, and I have been a panelist at every show, and I have been a vendor at every show but last year because of scheduling conflict where I was speaking at a camp and I couldn't do it. But I've been a part of every year, and so it's been a great experience to see. But this was my first time, since 2019, actually having my booth at Galaxycon Raleigh. So I was grateful, and some pretty cool experiences all around. But yeah, let's get popping. First of all, this is a 4-day show. It is a show where, the amount of time that you spend on the show floor shadows basically any other show. They run the same amount of time of like San Diego, and they have late night activities that rival any other show out there. And I'll say this: I didn't see a single late night activity. I did not see the convention. I did this show by myself, and it's too big and there's too much to do on your own. And so in years past, Vincent has gone with me, or Rachel, or I believe Stephanie's spent some time there. My daughters have done the Richmond show with me. But Galaxycon Raleigh is a beefy entity to take on solo as an artist. And, there's tons of celebrities all around. I didn't even see the celebrity side of the building. I honestly covered just enough of the room to get from the escalators to my table. And that's not a complaint or a whine. That's just where I'm at in terms of that, because, this is a show for a lot of people to enjoy, and I'm grateful they get to enjoy it. But I was not going into this with, hey, I'm going here to meet a celebrity. The only celebrity I was like super pumped to meet was Kevin Smith, or possibly just Brendan Fraser. But I just wanted to see Brendan Fraser smile, because, that's what we do. But honestly, more than anything, GalaxyCon is a chance for me to see people I've made connections with, and to make connections with people I've not met yet. And so I'm grateful that even though I wasn't like getting autographs or photos, that I actually just got to go be part of this and be part of all that it was. It was also great for me, affordability. I bought no food at the con other than a smoothie on after I loaded in and set up, because I literally felt like I was gonna go into shock if I didn't get something in my system, and I was overheated. So yeah, I didn't spend money on food. I also didn't buy anything. Well, I did, but not really. I bought a Galaxycon t-shirt because they made a Stranger Things knockoff of the Hellfire Club, and I bought 3 stickers. So 4 days of con time, and I walk away with 3 stickers and a shirt of the show itself. I think I'm doing pretty good. But yeah, it was pretty great. So one notable thing is it's just hot loading in the armpit of July, but it was really cool. But I got set up, and to note that the artist spaces are small-ish. They're not really small compared to, any other place that gives you a 6-foot bubble of space, but 6 feet is hard to adjust to when you are used to a little bit more. And I've been really blessed this year that, if I'm not mistaken, every show I've done, uh, I've been beside a table where someone didn't show and I got to spread out, or I just had a big space to begin with. Um, like at Galaxycon Richmond, they had a little extra space, so they bumped me up to a booth that cost twice what I paid, or 3 times what I paid. So I had space for days. But this one, I literally had to stay in my lane, and it was a tiny, tiny wedgie of a space. But I'm not mad at it. It was good. Um, so with that, got set up, and this was the first show premiering. Um, this is the first GalaxyCon that actually had book 7, book 8, and Can I Still Wear My Cape? So we had 3 new books at this show alone. So it was a lot. So just looking through day 1, cosplays were great. And this is just to say this: for the better part of the year, the most frequented cosplay I saw was Nezuko from Demon Slayer. That title has officially passed on to Yor and Anya from Spy Family. There were more Yor and Anya cosplays than Nezuko by a long shot. And there were more cosplays of the one dude from Demon Slayer that says Flashy. The guy with the swords and the jewels and the 3 wives, that guy. So there were more cosplays of that guy than Nezuko. So it was just crazy to see the shift in culture of what, of like, you can gauge what's popular by the cosplays, and Nezuko has taken a back seat to some other anime characters, so that was fun. My high school best friend Billy, who has been around my life for more than half of my life, was vending with a board game called Sellouts on the show floor. So I got to see him more times this weekend than I've seen him in the last 2 years. So that was really cool. And we actually, after the first night, we went out to dinner with the entire Sellouts team. And I got to help give them a little bit of input on how to better use their time at the con for their game. And beyond that, we also ate some really good sushi and ramen, and we talked about community and the ways that we talked about church hurt, we talked about disappointment. We were across the Brian O'Halloran from Clerks was also eating in the same restaurant as us, and that was fun. Just walking in and seeing Brian O'Halloran. And there was an Aquaman cosplayer that had forgot his trident at the sushi restaurant. So when Aquaman came back in to get his trident, Brian O'Halloran loudly said, "It's good sushi when Aquaman comes back." So it was fun. Just a little humor from a celebrity, and everybody got the chuckles and all. But it was really good, actually, just getting to eat dinner with my friend and to go and do that. But also, I was flipping tired, and that was the long day. I left at 6:30 a.m. and I got to my hotel room close to 11 p.m. So yeah, but that was good. His daughter Deanna was also there, and I've known Deanna since birth. I held her in diapers and played GameCube when I was still in my early 20s. So yeah. Some great cosplays there. Were a couple Nacho Libre cosplayers, which was really cool. I saw a Weird Al Yankovic with an accordion, a Samus or two, but it was great. I got to see some friends. Kathy was there. The Benson clan, slash Glenn, uh, Alicia and Michael are literally some of my favorite people in the nerd world. Alicia is the reason had panels at Galaxycon last summer, because I'd given up the idea of trying since didn't have a booth, and she encouraged me. So everything fruitful that came out of Faith and Fandom at Galaxycon Raleigh last summer came because of her encouragement. Um, so that was really neat. Um, and I'm just grateful for that experience. Got to see Jason Bullock, who is one of our Patreon supporters, and see him for a few times. He also competed in the Nerd Slam, but I'll get back to that. Um, and yeah, just a really good day with being at the show floor. And Thursday's a shorter day. Thursday is from 2 to 8. So it's not crazy long, but it's long enough. But I had a good day Thursday. Some good experiences overall with that. Friday came our first day with a panel, and I did the Finding God in Geek Culture panel, and that's a panel where we really are just discussing different people's perspectives, and the fact that many of us grew up with a idea that there had to be a division, like that you couldn't love God and also love nerdy stuff, and from the satanic panic of like Dungeons and Dragons to Harry Potter to Pokemon, stuff like that. There's a whole thing where if you were geeky, you felt like you were automatically evil. And so we usually have a panel discussing that, but also encouraging people to look for spiritual content in their stuff and let it be an encouragement, but also use discernment. So that's a big point. The actual PowerPoint slides of mine were the division, most encouraging moments, discouraging moments, and using discernment when you look for things. But it was really cool too, because I got to bring on Ashley Cox from Fangirling Over Jesus into that panel. And if you don't know Ashley, Ashley is just a passionate actor and designer. She makes really cool apparel that is way trendy and stylish. And she has a creative heart and mind for that. But she does kind of similar like shirt ideas like the Faith and Fandom, but way better. And I'm not even saying that in like a self-depreciating way. Her stuff's just really, really better, and it looks good. And she has a really cool habit of designing something of a character and then giving it to that actor, which is a lot more easy to receive from a celebrity than like a thick Bible study. So like at a previous con, she gave the voice actor for Anakin and the voice actor for Ahsoka shirts that she had made that had both a really cool design but also scripture. And at this show, she gave the voice actor for Obi-Wan one as well. It's just really cool. But Fangirling Over Jesus, you can check her out on Facebook, Instagram, Etsy. But I'm a big fan of her heart and her mission. And so I got to bring Ashley on the panel, and she didn't have the rigidity of, the same experience that a lot of other people did, but she has a good voice for discernment and those things. So it was really cool having her on the panel and giving her that chance. And not that she needed a chance from me, but just she should have a platform, and helping her to share mine is a great one, because if there's anyone I would trust to just take the reins of anything I'm doing, it would absolutely be Ashley. So we got to do a panel together, and had a lot of good discussion with that. But I'm going to speak on a negative, and I don't know if it's a negative of others or if it's a negative of me, but it was definitely a speed bump. So early on, when I was asking people about discouraging moments that they had in terms of their journeys with faith and geek culture, there was a young man named Caleb who was sharing his story, and Caleb was speaking. And while Caleb was speaking, there was a woman in the back of the auditorium who was holding her hand up, like a little kid that really has to pee in class. And she was literally flailing her arms around to get my attention. And as she did this, I noticed her. I tried to acknowledge, hey, I see you. I'll be with you in a second. And I eventually, just asked Caleb to pause for a minute because we were changing topics. And she asked what my qualifications were to be leading this panel. Like, what did I have? What did I have, like, in terms of education or experience that would qualify me to lead this panel? And it just threw me off. Because it was the attitude was not a good attitude that I was being asked with. And so, I tried to respond accordingly and lovingly of, that I have a degree in divinity. I've been doing this professionally as a geek for like 10 years. Um, I forgot to even mention, I wrote 8 books on this. But, I was trying to just politely, answer her question. And then, I also said that this is a fan panel, and anybody's qualified to run a fan panel if it's approved by Galaxycon. And, I answered, but she was obviously still very frustrated by my existence in that space. And eventually she kind of stormed out. I tried to bounce back from that pretty well, but I have to say it was discouraging. And what was more discouraging to me, like, is the fact that I held on to it. I absolutely should have let that go, and I didn't. Like, it carried over basically the rest of the weekend. I had different moments where I wasn't letting it bother me, but I kept finding myself bouncing back to that. And that's silly of me to expect to do something without any kind of negative feedback. But, I guess I still hope for that. But I know that's foolish. But the thing that I was disappointed in myself in is the fact that I let it bother me. Because I'm not kidding. I had, let's say, 30 people come up to me individually to tell me how much they really were impacted and encouraged by the panel. But I still let that one lady's question bug me. And that's stupid of me and shows a little lack of maturity and, growth and even faith that I would let one person's negative comment just derail me to that level. Because I'm used to people walking by the booth and, like, obviously not enjoying what we have, but it felt different in that moment. So if you were at that panel and I was not on my A game, I apologize. We also had technical difficulties at the beginning, but again, I wasn't great. But I'm learning and growing with that. But also the same thing, like, the next morning I got into the hotel elevator, and my hotel is legitimately 13 minutes away from the convention center. So I'm trying to be on that budget life. And in my hotel, 13 minutes away from the convention center, I get in the hotel the next morning, Saturday morning, to go get coffee. And a guy says, "Oh, your panel was great yesterday. I just really enjoyed it." So, like, even that, like, the next morning, someone was telling me bright and early how much the panel meant. And I still clung to that one negative comment. So, hey kids, don't do that to yourselves. Don't hold on to the one negative when you literally have a flood of positive, and because that is not very cash money. So don't do that, because I did that and it was not fun. Beyond that though, Friday went really well overall. I really believe. The panel started out pretty early because I think our panel was at 2, but had a good day. Had a really good day with the panel itself. And let me pop in here and see. My friends Sherry and Crystal and Henry were all at the show that day. Sherry's one of my long-term adult friends from like childhood up. Crystal is one of my former college students, and Henry is her husband. And I got to officiate. Did I officiate? Yeah, I officiated their wedding and DJ'd. So yeah, it was really cool to see them there. They also bought me a Cowardly Lion painting, um, and I was grateful for that because Oz still means something to me. I got to see my friend Jeremy. She is a cosplayer that was just a super dope cosplayer, and I was really looking forward to seeing her and her whole family did this really cool homemade dress Mario vibe, and it was really neat. There were a great handful of Eddie Munson cosplayers as well, and I designed The Shire is Burning, so Mordor it is sticker. And so I gave it away to every Eddie cosplayer that I saw at the show. And so I gave away a lot of Eddie stickers. And I even had people come by the booth looking for me when I wasn't there in that one little hour. But I was legit grateful that people were so encouraging and so helpful with that. So Friday was a good day, but honestly, just getting to share the stage and time with Ashley was a huge win and bonus for me. Day 3, though, was some serious gangster-ish. Saturday is the big day. It is the day when all the things are happening and all the stuff is going on and all the people are there. And I had forgotten one of my cables for recording in a panel room for the geek discussion. And so I went right before the show opened, and it would literally look like the worst zombie apocalypse ever, just trying to get through there to get it. But started out the day with seeing a Eddie Munson Scott Pilgrim shirt, and I took that lady's picture and I said, if you come find my booth, I'll give you a sticker. And I did. There's a really cool Captain America cosplayer, and he was wearing under his Captain America cosplay a Faith and Fandom bracelet. And I haven't done bracelets in a hot minute, and I only literally have one bracelet left. And the fact this dude was rocking it, I thought was really, really cool. And it was encouraging to me as well. We did Nerd Slam, me and LJ and Monica, and Nerd Slam packed it out. And I'm really proud of LJ for working towards this and organizing this. And I've got to be a part of the Comic-Con version of Nerd Slam for a long time, and I'm really grateful because it's been an awesome experience. But LJ just continues to do great work with it. But they filled out the big room, or the big panel room at least. But I'm talking massive. It was the biggest panel that I got to be a part of for the weekend. And they filled out competitors really fast. And I'll say that the guy who won was incredibly impressive. It's this really cool 14-year-old boy who knew literally everything about Godzilla. And I can't, I was just going to ask how many Godzilla films had been made, period. And I had to Wikipedia this because, I don't know that stuff. And it said that there were 32 Japanese films and 4 American films. And so 36. And so I asked him that as the final question to take him out. And I listened to this kid straight up name all of the films in order by name under his breath as he counted them. And I'm telling you, this dude was a flippin' gangster. Past that as well, my friend Debra Lanham, who is a cool cosplayer, and she helped me with a Geek Church last year with worship, but she's a really cool friend of mine. She's an excellent crafter, creator. She also is a hardcore theologian, much more so than me, actually. She has much more education and study, and she is just a gangster of doctrine. She made a full cosplay by hand of the Galaxycon mascot, which is a cool little space girl, and her daughter just happens to be the perfect size and um, shape and age for that person. And so she cosplayed as that, and they won the chairman's award, like a freaking wrestling belt of just coolness with that. So that was neat. But getting to see that throughout the day and getting to see her, I also got to see some camp fam, and that was really cool to see them there as well. Um, and again, the Bensons killed it, because they wear a different matching family cosplay every day. Uh, like one day was Flynn and Rapunzel and Pascal. One day was Obi-Wan, Padme, and Ewok. I mean, they just kill it, and they did so good with it. I saw a Moss from the It Crowd cosplay that was really great. Um, yeah, I mean, there are just so many great cosplays all around. There was a Cobra Kai Jedi, which I just thought was really cool. Um, but Nerd Slam really did take up the heat and the heart of Saturday, and I'm grateful to have been a part of that. But I was definitely wiped and drained from that. Um, Geek Church, you know what? Geek Church was about as good as I could ask for on Sunday morning. Scott Hennis, who is a cosplayer, minister, friend from Wilmington, North Carolina, a guy who I actually met at a Raleigh show. I can't remember if it was a NC Comic Con show or if it was a Galaxycon, but I met Scott at a Raleigh show years ago, and he was at the show on Saturday, drove all the way to Wilmington, then drove back to lead worship on Sunday. And y'all, it was a smart move for me, because if you've ever been in a Geek Church service with me and I'm doing music and the message and the production stuff, it's overwhelming, and I can only give so much of me in terms of bandwidth to actually do things well. And so asking Scott to come lead worship was a very smart idea, because Scott did a way better job than me. But it was great. We had a pretty full room, especially for 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. There's pictures and videos and stuff up there as well. But I did a message on Stranger Things season 4, kind of like a short version of the chapter that I just posted recently. But I was super grateful. Like when I said my last little bit from the service, I felt like a good weight off of me, just because I had no other real responsibility for the rest of the day other than maintain my booth and not fall asleep, which I was dressed as a shy guy, and I legitimately was so tired that a couple times I contemplated putting on my mask and just falling asleep and waiting until someone woke me up. I was that tired. In fact, one point, because some people just be super brash, and not in a bad way, just open. One kid just walked up, "You look really, really tired," and just walked away. Um, but again, I got to spend a really good amount of time with Ashley Cox and her mom on Sunday afternoon, and just talk about con life, con ministry, future possibilities, and stuff like that, logistics. She spent a good time pouring into me and encouraging to me after the service. Because one of the things, as I mentioned in the service, that I have the Ted Lasso goldfish memory, but in the bad way, that I forget that I'm valued by other people or loved pretty quickly. And I struggle with that sometimes. And so she took some time to really pour into me to be an encouragement with that. And yeah. Oh, one of the other really big things is I got to talk to a family. There's a family that I knew from the show who I've known in the nerd world forever. And they've been a part of our life for a long time. And I'm pulling up their name just so I make sure I don't say the wrong thing, because I'm not always good with names for everything. And I'll just say this: the Surham family, but they are a family from Raleigh, and They have a young son, and we met them at Next Fest in Fayetteville. Like one of the 2 or 3 times that I had my booth set up at Next Fest, which is a Christian music festival in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I had my booth set up there. I met this family, and they became a staple of any time we did like Fayetteville and Raleigh shows. And specifically during the time frame when Vincent and I were still working together on a regular basis. And he would always be really encouraging just as a little kid. And he would, be excited to see us every time. And I hadn't seen him since 2019. And in 2019, he came up to my booth very, very excited and said, "Hey, there's a BB-8 mold. You need to start making BB-8 candles." So if you've ever seen pictures or bought a BB-8 candle for me, it's because this kid took the initiative to tell me about it and do it. That same day he told me about the BB-8 mold, he also came up to me and told me that I really needed to write a Phineas and Ferb story. And I did, specifically because this kid told me to. And even if you've got book 7 and you've looked at it, the Phineas and Ferb chapter that's in there, he's credited for it. So like this dude's whole thing, this little kid's input in my life was pretty strong because I actually listened to him, and because I listened because he was so encouraging, and because it was actually something that meant a big deal to him. And so haven't seen him since 2019. Towards the end of Sunday, like when I'm already in my super sleepy phase, he comes bounding up to the table, and like he beats his family there by like a short distance. And like this dude's like 3 feet taller now. And he had the same smile, the same very effervescent heart of just pure joy and excitement. I was like, and as soon as he got up there, I was like, hey, and I got so excited, and like I was just as excited as he was. I was like, dude, I started making BB-8 candles because of you. And like, I told him that, and like I showed him, and I gave him a BB-8 candle. And I said, oh, and by that time his family had caught up to me, and I said, I wrote the Phineas and Ferb chapter for you because of you. And I gave him a hardback of book 7, and talked to his family for a long while, like 20-30 minutes, just stood there and talked to his family. And it was honestly like a big joyful family reunion. And there are moments that just make a show worth it for me. Geek Church is a moment. The panel, even though I got my feelings, was a moment. But getting to reunite with this family, and just the joy that was encouraging with that, was 100% worth it. And I would have sat for 40 hours on that floor again just for that moment and for that encouragement. But we, both of us, I think me as an individual, them as a family, left there way more encouraged, just because of how beautiful and just really cool it was. So I'm grateful for that. I mean, other moments like that too was I the Ashley Cox and Ashley Cox pouring into me, the Benson family loving on me. It's just, there's some really good stuff. I also got to see, let's see, who was it? Brian, the bearded nerd, I got to meet him, and we had a kindred heart and talk about just what this stuff looked like. He's more on the D&D end of the world, and but with the same heart for Christ as well. So the he is on Instagram as Brian the Bearded Nerd. Um, and he's got a really good platform there with that. But I just met some really cool people, had a lot of good encouragement, and it was not that finances matter on that level specifically, but it was not the most like financially beneficial Galaxycon. But on the same time, because of our Patreon team, it also wasn't the biggest detriment that it wasn't that like um, there was a really good balance of things. So I was really grateful for how that played out and everything with that. So GalaxyCon Raleigh was a win, absolutely. I'm waiting right now for the pending acceptance of what that looks like for me to be able to do GalaxyCon Raleigh next year, for them to approve it. Um, so yeah, waiting on that all to go down. Um, so I just want to thank everyone that helped make that possible. The church service is already recorded and edited. I'm just waiting to post it after I post this, so that it'll be the last thing up for a while. And yeah, before we bounce out of here, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters: Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jillian, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm. By the way, Zach Harris, some of your people, your former flock, came by the booth and they miss you. Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs. I didn't get to see Jeanette Skaggs at this show because she's in London doing cool London stuff, and I'm excited that she actually was able to go adult and enjoy her life. Um, Chris Cook, Jason Bullock, who I got to see at the show, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, who was at LeakyCon this weekend, which was pretty neat, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for supporting and making this possible. Because of your generosity and faithfulness with that, it was a lot easier to actually put this all together and do it. So thank you all. Thanks for listening, and love you and praying for you, and see you at the next con, which, by the way, my next con is Greenville Comic Con, North Carolina, on August 13th. Bye, fam.